Hello and welcome to Sean White's Solar and Energy Storage Podcast. Here we are at the NorCal Solar 50th anniversary party, and we're doing a podcast, and we have Lana. Say hi, Lana. Oh, she's taking my
Hello.
And we have Paul.
Hello, hello.
And we have Kyle over there.
Hello. Oh, I'm on film. Hey,
You're on podcast right now.
I'm on podcast right now.
And so we're like standing by the door, and we're going to catch people as they go out. And when we find the super important people, we're going to get super important information out of them. Yeah, the only trick is finding out who is the most important person here. Of course, besides us, right? And so I do see Claudia Wentworth over there, so I'm going to get her. She's talking to Tor Allen. Tor also has a podcast that's probably True Solar Stories. And so we're going to get a couple of those people. There's some people from Climatize we're going to go find. And
We got Earthos, some people that flew in today from Portland. We got the BMO, Bank of Montreal. Some people in from Poland over here. Lots of people.
yeah, lots of people. It's gonna
Somebody from Climax Foods just walked through the door. I think you're at Climax Foods.
Yeah.
You were at the climate debate the other day.
All right, cool. So tell us a little bit about Climax Foods.
So we're an AI company replacing animals in the food system.
AI to replace animals with food. Whoa. Was that your salami that I had?
No.
At the
the
debate.
cheese.
He was at the
The
debate.
cheese.
Yeah, I remember I saw you there. I remember that somebody had some like really good salami there.
green
Oh, that was
wolf.
your brie?
Yeah.
Oh, that brie. Are you telling me that brie didn't have like cow in it?
Yes.
That was amazing brie.
Glad
That
you
was
like it.
It was better than brie.
Glad you like it.
Except
Better
it
than
was
brie.
brie. It was like better than brie, but it was just like really good. It just kind of felt like I could have ate a whole lot more and still been healthy.
Well, that's the nice thing. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
as indulgent, but more healthy and better for the
But
planet.
yeah, if you didn't tell me, I never would have thought that
Yeah.
that would have been vegan.
Did you try the feta?
I didn't get to see the feta.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so basically the idea is animals use a very limited subset of plants and metabolize them in a very specific way. And when you look at the whole plant kingdom, there's an infinite number of ways you can make a milk or an egg or a meat. And one way is the animal way, but many, many other ways are better.
So that's really interesting. Like
That's why we use AI.
Hey, how does the AI do? You just like talk to ChatGPT and you go like,
No.
How do I duplicate brie without a cow?
No, we use different AI architectures, not ChatGPT or large language
Or something.
models.
Okay, so like most people don't understand AI as well as you do. So like, what does that mean?
Basically, imagine a million humans cooking in a million kitchens, trying a billion recipes, right? That would take a long time. And then they would come up with a way to take plant ingredients and turn them into something that behaves like an animal product. But because we don't have an infinite number of time, because the world is going down the drain right now if we don't intervene, right? If we don't use our intellect for good, we need to use AI to help humans to innovate faster. So it's essentially helping cooks innovate faster, to find something that tastes exactly like an animal product, but is cheaper and more nutritious. And that's exactly what we've created. Wow. In fact, we were just awarded the biggest prize in the US for cheese.
For cheese?
Yeah,
Oh.
no vegan cheese has ever been nominated even. We
Wow.
won it.
I can believe it because
Yeah.
I tasted it.
And then the dairy industry got so angry that they found the last minute way to decline the prize from us, and it's all over the news today. It's
Oh,
really interesting.
okay.
So we kind of got even more press out of it than otherwise.
All right.
Not to say that I care about press, I just care about
Well, no, that's making the whole thing happen. you know?
yeah, but I just care about consumers having choices, right? The consumer should be willing to decide if they want a cheese that is made from a cow or if they want a cheese that tastes the same and is made directly from plants. Who am I to tell a consumer what they should eat, right? To me, the magic is in creating products that are better for consumers, just like my electric car is better than an internal combustion engine car, and that's why I bought it. It's not because I also care about the environment, but
So the cheese industry got their cheesy attorneys out there to reject your product because you didn't use a cow.
they found a silly reason. We used a really wonderful, healthy ingredient that has been in the human diet for thousands of years, especially in India. People use it a lot. It's called kokum butter. Nobody ever got sick of it. It's an oil that's just very healthy and very flavor neutral. So we used it in this product, and they last minute made up a reason that we shouldn't use it because it's not an ingredient that is widely used in the US. But that was 6 months after their judges decided we have the best cheese.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is very crazy. There was a lot of, when we were finalists, there was a big online backlash from cheese makers against them. And eventually, I guess they caved into that.
So how do people get a hold of your cheese?
Right now you can only buy it in restaurants, including 2-3-star Michelin restaurants, but also other cheaper restaurants. And then we work with big dairy companies because a lot of dairy companies actually love what we're doing. The more, I guess, progressive dairy companies, to get them into retail around the world next year.
Okay.
Maybe starting later this year.
So how do people find you? Like, you got a website or something?
Yeah, climax.bio.
CLIMAX.bio.
Correct.
All right, awesome. Thanks. Oliver's on?
Yeah, what's your name?
Oh,
Sean.
my name is Sean White.
Okay,
yeah.
excellent. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too, Oliver.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah, and it was good seeing you at the climate debate on Tuesday.
Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot. So I'm not going to ask your permission, but I'm going to interview you. Her name's Claudia Wentworth, and she is like really famous, and she was the president of NorCal Solar and invented things like Quick Mount and all these really cool things. So Claudia, what's up?
I'm retired and I'm growing my telomeres back.
Okay. I know, it's nice getting those telomeres back. So Claudia Wentworth has a Claudia Hanson Wentworth Award.
Award, yeah.
Maybe you could tell us a little bit about your award?
Sure. It's an American Solar Energy Society Award.
I love ACES.
I love ACES, and it is for code development and training. And the award goes out to people who are like you, who have done yeoman's work in bringing up the solar industry for code compliance and in training individuals in how to install solar correctly.
And so when did you first get involved with NorCal Solar?
It was right around 1999, 2000.
So 1999, 2000, and you were, like I said before, you were the president. We have a great turnout, and so I was talking to you earlier. You said it's tied for first place.
Yes.
You don't think we have like at least one extra person?
I don't know. We'll have to do the count.
And so at that time, it was at the Berkeley City Club.
Correct.
And,
the Berkeley Women's
and what
Center.
year was that?
It was probably, let's see.
For a decade or something around there.
It was probably 2008, 2009.
Like okay. I'm surprised I wasn't there. Maybe
I
was
still
traveling.
think you might have been. No, I think you were traveling.
Yeah, because I travel a lot, and I would have known because I learned how to swim at the Berkeley.
Yes.
It used to be called the Berkeley Women's
City
Club.
Club.
And my grandmother was a member, and all these different things.
Yeah.
And then I went to the Berkeley
It's a
Breakfast
beautiful
Club there.
building.
Yeah.
A fantastically beautiful building.
Really awesome. Well, I just want to thank you so much for all you've done for the solar industry and are still doing with your awards and philanthropy, involvement with ACES and NorCal Solar, and all the great things that you've done. You're
Sean,
like
you got to keep up the good work. You're a gift to the solar energy industry, and really, bringing people in and new people in and making them feel welcome and able to be trained and learn and do career change, make more solar happen.
Wow, thank you so much. It's such an honor coming from you.
Oh, really?
Thanks, Claudia.
You got to interview Tor.
Yeah, Tor's her next.
Tor has been a major person in keeping the communication of solar alive, being able to put the word out there. And he has a solar fiction podcast now that I just learned about.
Yeah, and we've already had him on the podcast, and we talked for about an hour about probably true solar stories with Tor Valenza. Hey, Tor.
Hey, Sean.
Bye, Claudia. Thanks so much. So what's the latest probably true solar story?
The latest is that we have a wonderful celebration here for the 50th anniversary of NorCal Solar. This is a story of a gathering of minds and experience for 50 years here. And it's just great to see everybody who's come out. Somebody said it was like one of the biggest gatherings for this space, not only for NorCal Solar.
So for Port Labs.
For Port Labs, that's what they said. So I want to keep the focus on that. My Probably True Solar stories are great, and if you listen to podcasts, go listen to it. But in the meantime, I'm grateful to be here, and that, we need more communicators. So if you're listening to this and you think you can't be an engineer, that's what I said to myself when I said, well, I can participate with my communication abilities. So you can do that too with your writing and your content. And for sales, everybody is needed right now. It's all hands on deck, as Danny Kennedy was saying. We've come a long way, but we're still at the beginning of this solar evolution, and anybody can be a part of it. It really can.
Great.
That's what I'll say.
Well, thank you so much, Tor Valenza of Probably True Solar Stories. And I remember also, Tor, who also goes by Solar Fred, of course. You can look for him on the last podcast. We talked about a whole bunch of stuff. But I recruited you to be a NorCal Solar board member.
Yes.
A number of years ago.
2 years I was on the board, and it was great to, again, be getting all these events together. And I think, if you, again, want to be involved in this great community and growing community, please join the board as well. More hands on deck, the more they can provide these educational opportunities. I mean, we just had a great, 45 minutes of people telling us about how they're contributing to this solar evolution and revolution here. And you can be a part of that too, and keep gathering people together and spreading the word.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Always good to see you. Tor Valenza, Solar Fred. Woo! Woo! Okay, so we are talking to Rosemary Howley, and she was on the NorCal Solar Board in the 90s, is that right?
I think it was from about 1988 to 98.
In the 80s, wow.
80s and 90s.
80s and 90s. Well, thank you so much for what you've done. And has the solar industry changed at all since then?
Well, that's a silly question. Yes, it really has.
What do you notice is the biggest difference? Like, we don't know how to make hot water anymore? Like,
I've been doing work related to the California Energy Code for my career, pretty much. And so now that...
What's that your career was?
Was in building energy analysis related to California Title 24 Energy Code. And so the Energy Code now essentially requires PV.
Great. You succeeded.
We succeeded.
Thanks for bringing us here. It's all because of you.
Well, you have to, Carlo,
working on
too.
California Energy Code. California leads the nation, leads the world.
We do.
And that's all because of Rosemary Howley.
Well,
because she was on the NorCal Solar Board of Directors starting in 1988.
Yes, but you know what? When I was on the board, it wasn't called that yet. It was called NCSEA.
Yeah. That still says that in certain places.
Yeah.
Let's say Northern California
Solar Energy Association. And when Carlo was on the board, it was also NCSEA.
Great.
I think it changed like the year or so after I left the board.
Became NorCal Solar. I don't remember when, but it was NCSEA was a conflict with what? Northern Carolina or some other NCSEA?
Yeah, so we're talking right now with Carlo
Federiconi.
And when were you on the board?
With Rosemary, about the same time.
About like in 1988 and all that?
Yeah, to mid-90s or so, yeah. About 8 years or so. You're probably longer, I think, right?
Yeah. Well, we met each other on the board, all those years ago.
And so tell me about your experiences, Carlo, when you were on the board. What did you guys accomplish besides bringing us all here? And what was it like back then? Like, what was solar in 1988? What did that mean?
Solar was largely unknown, I think. Like Bill said earlier, I think it was just a handful of people and maybe driven perhaps and made to survive by the weed industry up in Northern California that kept the solar industry alive through the dark ages. And it was a matter of educating folks as to the benefits of solar. That's what it was about.
Yeah, it was a lot of those growers were buying solar modules and pumps to get things watered, and then they started things like Real Goods and AEE Solar, Iron Ridge, and that's why all those companies have roots up there.
Yep, that's right. And so, our function was mostly educating folks, putting out great newsletters, having a lot of events, much like this one, with a lot of speakers, and then supporting events like SEER, Solar Energy Expo and Rally, and helping them pull their event off. And
yeah, so Carlo has a shirt on. It says Solar Energy Expo and Rally. It's got a picture of some sort of like solar hot rod, sort of like those ones that it looks like what they have in Australia for the race. And then it says August 11th and 12th, 1990, Willits, California. And he's pulling out a magazine, and it's Northern California Sun, production of the Northern California Solar Energy Association, and it looks like it's that rally. Wow. And so I think what we want to do is somehow document some of this, just maybe to get somebody to take pictures of some of these magazines, and we can post them on like our website, some Google Drive, something like that. Jim Augustine also, who's been with NorCal Solar for 48 years, the author of the Solar Cat book, and he brought like a big file box full of stuff that we want to document somehow and digitize. I don't think anybody has time to put it on a scanner. We're too busy being successful because of what these 1988 board members did. So thank you so much. Thank you, Rosemary.
Well, you're welcome. My pleasure,
And thank you so much, Carlo.
Thank you.
You know, the people that put in solar, put in PV back in those days were really dedicated because it was expensive and challenging. But some people went for it anyway.
Yeah, do you remember the price per watt back then? Like for a whole installed solar system? It's like...
I don't know. I've been a renter, so I never had a system.
Yeah, it's probably like $100 a watt or some crazy thing like that. Yep. And I remember like my dad had one that we worked on. It was like back in like 1990 or something like that. And I remember it was like the Solar Living source book, and then you would just kind of read Home Power magazine or something. And so that was what was happening there. So thanks so much.
Yeah, what was the other supportive organization at the time that was putting out all the newsletters? I had a whole years of them for a while.
Well, ACES, American Solar Energy.
American Solar Energy Society newsletters or Home Power?
Home Power.
Yeah, Home Power started off with like sort of like a newsletter.
Yes.
And then they turned into a full-on magazine with the guerrilla solar installers that were like illegally backfeeding the grid when it was taboo.
I
covering their
issue,
faces.
Like, issue 1. I probably still have a digital version somewhere.
Yeah.
Sean, what's your background in solar?
So I'm getting interviewed. Okay, so
How did you get involved with NorCal Solar?
Yeah, so the way that I got involved with solar power is my best friend that I met at Jerry Brown's house that was just like a number of blocks away from here on 2nd and Harrison and Jack London Square. He was living with Jerry and we were doing Tai Chi and stuff. And he wrote a law called community choice aggregation. And I started helping him with protesting and doing things like technical research and stuff like that. And that's what got me involved. And so it was just like, this is cool. And so that was before it was my full-time job. And so that was around when my daughter was born, who's 28. And then after that, 16 point something years ago, I got my first full-time job here in Oakland.
Yeah, that's great.
So,
you know, I met with Jerry Brown when he was building that, the group home.
Yeah, the 2nd and Harrison one with the big, it had a big red circle on a big gray floor. And
I've been doing building energy consulting all this time, one way or another. And so Jerry Brown hired the company I'm working for. So he came in, we met with him, we talked to him about what he could do, what he wanted.
I could have been there. Did you remember like the big long table that was made out of a railroad bridge or anything like that?
We weren't on site. He came over to our office on Harmon Street in Berkeley.
But yeah, it was like a Zen design building.
Yeah.
And it had like this big, huge floor with a big red circle in it with gray paint behind it. And then upstairs were all the bedrooms. And then if you spent the night, you had to like take your clothes and put them in the washer and dryer. It was really cool. We had like vegan meals and Tai Chi 2 times a week. We had Jarl was the live-in Tai Chi instructor. It was pretty fun. But I guess that led to me being in solar. So
yeah, there you go.
Great. So
well, nice talking with you.
Yeah, nice to talk to you, Rosemary Howley and Carlo. Say your last name again. It's
Federiconi.
Federiconi. I just can't read it because the handwriting. So okay, thanks a lot. Oh, we have one more board member right here, and this is.
I want to check out. Yeah.
Oh, are you going to hide? You don't want me to introduce? Are you like
that's okay.
low key?
Yes, yeah. Okay, yeah, please.
So this is the secret board member whose name is Kevin.
Okay.
And so we were on the board together, and he's done great things, worked in solar, worked with hydrogen, works in computer chips, and he's looking for somebody. What are you looking for?
Yeah, probably I manage a building, 35,000 square feet, so we spend lots of money on electricity.
Yeah, what did you say the bill was? Or is that top secret?
It's buildings in Fremont.
Okay.
So we're looking for a energy efficiency auditor so that we can improve the building efficiency. Second is that probably we'll consider solar if that makes sense. And third, we have a parking lot. We have few employees, have a EV. They are asking for getting a EV charging station, and we're looking for someone that can give us evaluation. And maybe lastly is my home solar installation. Maybe I want to find someone to do it.
Okay, thanks, Kevin.
All right.
And so if anybody, especially he needs an energy auditor in Northern California in the Bay Area, in Fremont. So look him up. There's some business for you.
Yes. Okay.
And by the way, you can also find him on LinkedIn. That is Kevin Gao with a G-A-O. Thanks, Kevin.
Okay, Sean.
He's one of my favorite people. Okay, so we got another person here at the NorCal Solar 50th anniversary party, and this is Will Wiseman from Climatize. Hey, Will, what's up? What do you do?
Hey, Sean. So I'm CEO of Climatize, and Climatize is a platform that makes it super easy for anyone to invest in renewable energy projects across the country with as little as $10. And it's not a donation, it's an actual investment, and you can earn a competitive return on investment.
What about $9?
You can do it with 9, man.
Okay.
We'll make it work.
Okay. Just because you know me, or like anybody could really do it?
So actually,
like
the minimum is 5, but we show
Okay.
everybody 10 is kind of the norm.
Yeah, you don't want a bunch of like $5 people wasting your time.
Actually, the average investment is $30,000, believe it or not. So, even though we'll take as little as 5, we found that people have actually done a lot more.
That's kind of cool. Like, do you have like high school kids or anything getting into it, things like that? Like,
so you got to be 18 and above, to be able to invest. But we've been really surprised.
Age discrimination. Is
yeah.
Is there a too old thing too?
So, we were really surprised. We really thought originally the platform was going to be more millennial Gen Z, and have been really pleased to see that actually the bulk of our investors are really 30 to 55. And so, with that, we got the product to market and found that they came out with a lot of enthusiasm for helping fund solar projects around the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you tell people like what kind of projects people are investing in? Like they get on an app and they just pick up their funding on the app like you do with any app, and then you invest in some project and it takes off?
Exactly, yeah. So on Climatize, you can go and browse through the marketplace of investment options, and you can drill down and actually see, hey, I'm investing in solar for this family farm, or solar for, this Shakespeare theater, or for this low-income community solar project. There's a whole range of projects on the platform, and so you can go and look into all of the specs of the project. You can see photos of, the property, the people involved, the EPC, the whole 9 yards. And so get real details as far as you want to go on it.
And then you get money back, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like so returns range from anywhere from 8% to 10% per year, and it's a fixed interest debt product. So it's not like investing in a stock market where there's a lot of volatility, and obviously any investment has risk, but it's a fixed interest debt product.
You want to hear, like 15 years ago probably, I had this idea called Solar Cell Registry. And it was like, there's like a star registry, like you could get your name on a star.
Yeah.
And so I thought it would be like that for solar cells, and you can buy individual solar cells.
Okay.
And then you can go like on Google Earth and go like, that's my solar cell, and it got me like, what does a solar cell make you? 25 cents this year or whatever.
Yeah.
People would hopefully buy a whole lot more, but no, that was just like my idea, and I didn't take off with it like you did.
So we've seen some similar platforms to Climatize kind of pursue a model like that. But the challenge is, if you're a project developer, you generally want to maintain the equity of your project, right? And the reality is there's a real funding gap on the debt side, in particular for projects that are kind of mid-market, $250,000 to $5 million. And so that's where we came in and said, okay, we can provide debt funding for those projects, and you can still be an investor, and that helped the developers move along much faster rather than them feeling like they needed to actually do an M&A transaction and sell you the equity in their project. And so that's where we found much better product market fit.
So, hey, Will Wiseman of Climatize, what's your background? Are you like a business guy?
So I've been in solar for 10 years. I hold 2 master's degrees in the space in energy engineering and sustainable energy technologies. I was in EPC for a couple of years. I built 15 projects, worked in large-scale electrical project management with Helix Electric out of San Diego, and then actually at a startup out of Barcelona, helping independent power producers bid more efficiently into markets. So I actually really come from the technical side of renewable energy project development.
Oh, so did you live in Barcelona?
I did, yeah, for 2 years. I did one of my master's degrees there.
Okay, yeah. I have a good friend that's a chiropractor there.
Oh, very cool.
And I was there visiting him in December.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. Very cool. I love Barcelona, man. You wouldn't have to twist my arm to move there again. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I got to tour Wallbox headquarters.
Oh, how cool.
There's a lot of cool stuff going in there. I guess that's like one of the top vacation destinations in the world, even greater than San Francisco, I read somewhere, which I didn't know that was the truth until I read it recently. I guess maybe it depends on what your source is. I don't know. And so right now you're in Northern California?
Yep, based out of Santa Cruz and then building projects across the country. So at this point, I believe we've funded projects in 7 states. We've funded a total of 13 projects. Last project posted to the platform raised $100,000 in 2 hours.
Wow. Okay, so I got to check this out. So where do people find you?
So you can find Climatize either in the Google Play Store, the iOS App Store, or at our website, www.climatize.earth.
Climatize. What was that?
.earth.
.earth.
Yep.
Okay.
Got to climatize Earth.
Okay, yeah, climatize it. All right. So climatize.earth. Let's go put our money down on that. That sounds like a good investment.
We can all put our money where our mouth is. Yes, sir.
All right, thanks so much, Will.
Appreciate it, Sean. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's Will Weissman of Climatize, and I might want to talk to you more later. We interrupt you for a very important announcement. Sean White's Solar and Energy Storage Podcast has been brought to you by Sean White's Solar and Energy Storage Podcast. That's right, Sean White is sponsoring his own podcast, and he wants to remind you to go check out some of his classes. You can go to SolarSean, that's Solar, SEAN.com, and then click on the links to check out his classes. You can check out his heat spring classes, and you can also hire him to teach classes for you, like at your company, something like that. Now back to the show. Okay, so I'm going to sneak up on these people, and we got Franz. What's up, Franz?
Very great event, lots of fun.
So Franz works for Solar for America, right?
Yes.
And that's an American-made solar company, right?
Exactly. Sacramento factory for solar panels.
Yeah, you said we could do an event there for NorCal Solar.
We would love to host it, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
Some socializing, see the manufacturing process. Absolutely.
And then we have Tor Allen from Rawhouse, right?
Rawhouse Institute, Solar Schoolhouse in Sebastopol.
Solar Schoolhouse in Sebastopol, educating people for how long on solar?
Probably 25 years, mostly working with schools and, teachers and young kids.
So, if you need to, have your young kids learn about solar, Tor's the person.
He works with teachers, lots of
teachers. And teachers, yeah, if you're a teacher out there. And then we have Elaine Hebert, past president of NorCal Solar, and she knows more about NorCal Solar than any person alive. Like when we were having the board meetings, she was the encyclopedia. So thank you so much, Elaine.
Nice to see you tonight, Sean. Thanks for organizing this.
And Elaine's a wonderful person. She's worked on the ASIS board, that's American Solar Energy Society, and you are now in Oregon, right?
I live in Oregon, Southern Oregon, yes. And I got PV on my house. 5.4 kilowatts, sun power with the Enphase microinverters.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing that, and thanks for driving. You do drive or you flew down?
We drove.
So for driving all the way down here for this party.
Yeah, thank you. It was worth it.
That's awesome. We're honored. We're so glad to have you changing the whole world and the solar industry with all the great work that you've done. Thanks, Elaine.
There was solar before there was PV. We were doing solar building design, solar hot water, solar cooking, and lots of other stuff. Solar food drying. It was a thing before photovoltaics.
Did you know that the PV that the Egyptians put on the Great Pyramid still works?
That's remarkable.
Because it's Solar for America PV, right?
Yes, we were involved, yeah.
That 4,000-year-old PV system, it's still works. It's crystals. Solar silicon is solar crystal magic, and it's just magic, and it's just solid. It's never going to go away. Thousands of years.
I will tell you this, my time on the NorCal Solar board in the 90s led me to think, I'm going to turn this into my day job. That's what got me to start Rawhouse Institute. Was working at NorCal Solar's board at a different job, and then I started Rawhouse.
What were you doing for work? What were you
doing?
I
worked at PG&E, research and development. Yeah.
Forgotten that.
Sorry, that's off the record.
Okay, that was off the record, yeah. Yeah, right.
Sure.
We don't want to have to edit this.
Oh, God, no.
Okay.
I have heard about that group within PG&E just half an hour ago. So Dan Sugar was there as well, and there were a few other names.
Howard Wenger.
So you guys were all working at...
I came as Dan had just left, and Howard was still there, and PG&E was considering doing a off-grid service for remote customers, and Howard and some others were putting that together. And then the uppers said, nah, and so Howard went off and started his solar career.
solar career? That's SunPower, right?
Yeah, he went with Power Light, SunPower, et cetera. Yeah. And he had a consulting business a little bit first.
There were more people involved in the PV R&D at PG&E, and one of them was Carl Weinstein, called Papa. Papa Weinstein was his nickname. He's passed away now. I think he was in his 90s, but he oversaw the R&D at PG&E that Chuck Whitaker was also part of. Tim Townsend, maybe, Dan Sugar, Howard Wenger. There are others. Steve Hester, who ran, what were they called? Bill Brooks? I think Bill Brooks might have been there too.
I will add this, though. Howard Wenger and Les Nelson. Those two guys got their heads together and got the first net metering bill passed. So there was a whole group going on called California PVU, kind of collect like an advocacy group that involved utilities, advocates, etc., trying to get progress with solar. And those two just came out and goes, let's just slip a net metering bill into the legislature. Don't tell anybody. And don't draw anybody's attention, because consensus we're not going to get. Let's just get it in there. And it passed with 10 kilowatts. It was for residential only, and it also included wind.
You know what year?
It was like 95 or 6, first California, and it's iterated and changed probably 10 times since then. But it started out by legislation, because it's hard to get consensus policy with a group.
Les Nelson has also passed away.
Yeah.
So some of our pioneers,
So, Elaine, what was your first job in the solar industry?
Okay, my very first job in solar was for the Urban Solar Energy Association in Boston.
In Boston?
I started out in Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah, I was office manager for this small nonprofit organization. We did solar box cookers, solar hot water in a box. What is that called? Batch water heaters. Yeah. We had workshops on that. We had tours of different facilities that were just starting to incorporate solar design and PV. We'd put out a monthly newsletter, and it was the old cut and paste the print and then photocopy it and mail it out. We'd have mailing parties. Mid-70s.
Mid-70s. You must have been a little kid.
Oh, you're sweet. I was in my 20s.
And that was in Boston. Is that organization still around? Or?
No, but there is still an organization like it. I think it's the Mass Bay Solar Energy Association. They are a chapter of ACES now.
Oh, great.
And also, got to mention NESE, which at the time was the New England Solar Energy Association, which is now the Northeast Sustainable Energy Association. And they've been at it at least 50 years also.
They're an ACES chapter. Yeah, I was just out in Boston for a couple of weeks.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Cool. Are you coming to the ACES conference?
Definitely. You going to be there?
Yes. Do you know Henry Vandermark? He's running the Mass Bay chapter.
Oh, okay. I'll have to meet him if I haven't already.
You may have.
Great.
Yeah, I remember going to one of the ACES conference in D.C. some years ago, and my wife and little kids came along, and they're exploring Washington, and they said, we got tickets to the White House. You want to come? I'm like, I had 20 different sessions I was going to see at ACES, and I go, heck yeah. And then they go, we're going to Air and Space Museum. So we went to see that. But I will say something about NorCal is like back in the 90s, we did a lot of solar home tours.
Yes.
That was a pretty active thing. And then up at Village Homes in Davis, which is one of the original solar communities, we had several workshops there that I recall. So
you did a solar hot water workshop in Davis, Village Homes?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Village Homes in Davis is a housing development of 220 homes, all of which are oriented east-west, so they have a good south roof for solar. And this was before PV, so it was solar building design, taking advantage of the sun to heat.
Back when solar meant solar hot water and some passive design. So.
Yeah, solar hot water.
So, Elaine, also, you had something to do, right, with PV USA? Is that...
Yes. So I worked at the California Energy Commission, and one of my jobs there in R&D was my boss and I oversaw SMUD's management of PV USA, which at the time was a research facility under PG&E's auspices. So we were trying out all kinds of different PV modules, and it was trackers, and that's right.
I guess that's still there. It's still happening.
Yes, but it's not, it's privately owned now, I think. I don't think it's a research facility anymore. It's producing power.
It's sending power into the grid. It's a little independent producer.
Yeah, like Paul, who's here right now, Paul Subzak, who's on the current board, he invited me to go there. I guess he has the key.
Excellent. Go.
Maybe we should all go.
There was a time when people were stealing panels from that facility. I'm hoping that stopped.
Yeah, I stopped. I'm going to give them back soon.
That was 20 some odd years ago.
Actually, You know, SMUD was one of the first utilities to put solar on customers' homes. It was PV pioneers back in the 90s. And they didn't really think it all through, but after 10 years, they started to take the panels off the rooftops or have them switched to be net metered. And so they ended up with piles of these Siemens solar modules. And at some point we met and they go, we really want your solar schoolhouse program in Sacramento, but we don't have any money. And they go, will you take panels? I said, what kind? You know, they had some stuff that weren't so great, but the Siemens Arco ones were really good. So we ended up having a contract that was completely barter, panels for services. There was no dollar signs on the contract. I said, this is never going to happen again. I better do it. So I ended up with 80 kilowatts of Siemens solar modules that went and fed solar fountains and small project at schools and kept us going. You had another life that way.
Do more bartering. We need more bartering.
So that's the whole thing now as modules come offline. Some of them have another 10, 15 years left. And so it's like, what do we do with that those modules as a second life?
Yep. Well, thanks, Tor. Thanks, Elaine. Thanks, Franz. Thanks, Carlo. Thanks, Rosemary. I'm sitting around like all these famous NorCal Solar board members. I'm surrounded by them. You never know the kind of interesting people you're going to meet at a NorCal Solar party. And so Ken, what's your last name?
Ken Wu.
Ken Wu. Yes. And you're an ocean, what were you?
I'm a board member with the International Ocean Film Foundation.
The Ocean Film Foundation?
Yeah.
And then I said, oh, does that make you a Jacques Cousteau? And he said...
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. And he said then he knows the Cousteau kids.
Yeah,
so there's a connection there.
There's a connection because every year we hold a benefit fundraiser, and last year, 2023, they were our honorees. And they're wonderful people, they're scientists in their own right, and they were a real crowd pleaser, shall we say.
So are you guys using California-made solar up there when you're over the ocean?
Not yet, but it's a great idea. It's a great idea. We'll definitely look into it, and I'm sure Paul Subzak will remind us.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Ken.
Thank you.
So now we're talking to another person that I just happened to bump into, who's actually one of the more active board members at NorCal Solar, Saad Yousefi, good friend of mine. We wrote a book together called Energy Storage Basics. We've been to Africa together. We're doing some work in Angola. Saad, tell us what you're up to. What's your business and what's going on, man?
Yeah, well, I'm just really happy to celebrate NorCal Solar's 50th birthday. That's really what I care about today, and Bill Brooks' birthday. As I mentioned, I'm an old solar utility scale person, but now I'm a battery person, so I'm kind of right in between energy storage and solar. And my goal is to have cheaper, safer batteries operate everywhere. That's what I'm building and living in Oakland and working with great people like Sean.
Yeah, and sort of energy storage is solar in a way. I mean, it stores solar energy is kind of what it does. And so what's the name of the company that you're a CEO of?
Yeah, so I'm the CEO of Batterize, and that's spelled like battery, Z-E at the end. And we're an analytics company that looks at the health of batteries and then predicts how they age in order to have them last longer. Our goal is to work and consider ourselves as leaders in circularity and sustainability of batteries. And one thing we're excited about right now is we're building a specific tool and a product for testing and understanding the safety of a battery in an EV after a collision, where we have no idea how safe or how healthy it is, and we don't want to necessarily pull and move a car. So we need to kind of get a level of safety and certainty before we actually manipulate it. So that's something I'm very excited about at Batterize, and we are here in the Bay Area. Come work with us, come talk to us, and come find us.
All right, thanks so much, Saad Yousefi.
Thank you.
The thing about Saad is he really helped organize this event, and I did have Claudia Wentworth say that she's been president of NorCal Solar too and involved for a long time, and she thinks that this ties it for the largest NorCal Solar event ever. I told her we had one more person than that.
I think we might have, but certainly 50th birthday is the best time to tie and beat this. So I think it was a successful, and thanks for this partnership with Sean and Paul. Together.
Yeah, so there was kind of the three of us putting it together. So I'm Sean White, this is Saad Yousefi, and Paul Subzak. And the three of us, we're a good team. We should do some more of this.
We'll do it more. Come to our next event. Stay in tune.
And we're doing it also at this place called Fort Labs, and it's this really groovy co-working space. Like actually when we showed up, they were having a venture capitalist meeting or party or something like that was like associated with Climate Week, because we did have this associated with Climate Week. So we also want to thank the San Francisco Climate Week people for helping us publicize what's going on here. And so Port Labs, they're doing like some really cool things, co-working space in the heart of Oakland.
I mean, it's something really interesting.
Okay, we're going to do like a 1-minute interview. We got Will. What's your last name?
Hey, I'm Will Draffin. I used to work at Tesla for the past 10 years.
Oh, yeah, I have a Tesla. Did you work on my car?
I worked on the energy side, so home batteries, solar, electric vehicle charging.
Cool. What are you doing now?
I'm in the process of figuring out what comes next, so coming to every event at Climate Week to get a better taste of what's going on in the industry.
You're like a Climate Week hardcore person. How many events?
Probably 3 or 4 a day.
3 or 4 a day, so total?
How many days? It's been 6 days.
20 or something like
that?
that?
Yeah, at least
Wow.
20, 30 events.
Wow. I hope you can remember everything.
I've been taking notes after every event.
All right, thanks again, Will.
Yeah, appreciate your time.
All right, what's your last name?
Will Draffin.
All right, thanks again, Will.
Can he join NorCal Solar? Can he do
Oh, yeah,
something?
you want to be a member?
Yeah, if you've got an opportunity.
All right, high five, and you're a member.
Absolutely.
Officially,
Easy.
Will is a member.
I appreciate it.
An awesome member job. So that's all I'm
Okay.
saying.
All right. Yeah, Sod speaks highly of you. Thanks a lot, Will.
Thanks much.
All right. So we have Lana Savorova right here. Did I say it right? Savorova?
Yes.
And so 3 nights ago, we were at this rooftop with Lana, and she had these climate debates, and it was really cool. We had 2 different teams. They were with the stars and the
Hearts.
And the hearts, and it ended up being a tie. And so I guess you've done this before too.
Yes, so we started running climate debate events as an initiative to really unite all of the climate tech professionals in San Francisco for friendly debates where you come in, there are no sales pitches. You just meet people that you work with, but from all kinds of domains, energy, finance, data, tech, and you get to debate on the topics that are controversial. And we assign you opinions you may not even agree with, but that's part of the fun.
Yeah.
And Sean, you were one of the judges. How was it for you?
Oh, it was great. You know what's kind of funny is like I also wanted to be on both teams at once too. Like, because I just kind of felt like, oh, even if I didn't agree with it, I'd had a good argument for it, or I would know like the standard argument. You know, for like doing unsustainable agriculture or something like that. It would have been kind of fun to do that.
Next time, you and I, we go and we compete against.
Okay.
How about that?
All right. Thank you so much for having me be a judge. You had some like pretty like high level judges there too. You had one guy that used to work for Obama in the White House. And what was his name?
Vikram Ayer.
Yeah, and then you had another woman. I can't remember.
Sujala at Climax Food, and I can double check her last name. But yes, she's amazing. She's a scientist. She started her own sustainable food company, and then she also joined a bigger team at Climax Food. So we try to bring experts from different industries as well, so they can educate us on what are the right answers to those complex questions and statements.
And so do you do this once a year? Is it?
No, we do it once a month.
Oh, once a month. Oh, okay. What fun. Okay. Is it always on the same rooftop?
No, it's always a different location. Last time it was an art gallery. This time, as you know, it was a rooftop on Pack Heights. For May, we already reserved the surfing cafe on the beach, Ocean Beach.
Oh, huh.
So it's going to be really beautiful sunset, sustainable coffee, and we'll debate once again.
And intellectual stuff.
Yes,
That's always
yes.
fun. Yep. And so when you're not organizing these climate debates, what do you do?
So I'm a founder of East Gentle. We are B2B SaaS, turning eco-compliance.
And let me just kind of interrupt a little bit, because a lot of people don't know what SaaS is, because we're just solar people. Software as a service, right?
Software as a service, yes. So we create this digital web app, really, and we help take the data that was always sitting as, you know, this compliance data, and we put it into action by providing it to retailers and at the end to consumers. So when you walk into a store, you know exactly how this product was produced. And if you're eco-conscious, you can decide whether you want to buy one versus the other. And sustainability in our industry, as you know, Sean, is always considered as one of those buzzwords. the data, like emission data, land use, water use, it all creates an ecosystem where we live in. And it's important to just have an idea, what am I buying? What am I paying for? Is it just marketing or is it actual like clean energy powered company and products?
Great. Okay. Awesome. Well, I think I'd like to talk to you more, maybe have you on for a whole hour sometime.
Yeah, let's do that.
Or set it up online or something like that.
Fantastic.
That'd be great.
Looking forward to it.
So thank you so much, Lana.
Thank you, Sean. Such a pleasure. Thank you for joining us tonight.
And thanks for introducing people and helping out.
Absolutely.
Great. Thanks a lot. So I was talking to Lana just now, as you just heard, and I said, who should I interview? And she's like, you got to talk to this guy, and his name is John Min. So John, welcome to the show.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. It's nice to meet you.
So what are you up to?
So right now I'm working on something called Saya Impact, which is an impact fund focused on poverty alleviation. Saya actually in Pakistan and Nepal, it actually means shade. And
wait a minute, this is a solar place. We don't like shade. Yeah.
That's true. But I think
sometimes it comes in handy.
Yeah. Sure, that's fair. So we're really focused on rural poverty alleviation. I think once you start talking about rural poverty alleviation, I think you start going into agriculture. And Saya, I think, is like a metaphor for like shade from the oppressive sun. So I think it's the idea that we're trying to provide financial relief to subsistence farmers in Asia.
Oh, great. Okay. And do you have some examples?
Yeah, I think so. In Nepal, actually, we're focused on the dairy sector. And we're trying to provide an at-scale microfinance solution for farmers to acquire livestock with affordable interest rates that are going to help them, generate more income. But, a lot of these farmers live off, $3 to $5 a day. And I think being able to provide an accessible loan to them, is quite impactful.
Great. So she said you were doing some work in the Philippines?
Yes.
Too?
Yes.
And so what have you been doing there?
Yeah, we basically are focused on, again, rural poverty alleviation, but I think for entrepreneurs, and actually some of them are actually in the solar space. And so we provide liquidity to rural banks and financial institutions.
So like rural banks in the Philippines?
Yes.
Because I'm part Filipino through my daughter, who was born there. So.
Oh, wow, really? From where in the Philippines were you born?
Are you from there?
No.
Okay.
I've spent a couple months there over the last...
Metro Manila, she was born in San Juan, Metro Manila. I've done a lot of work for Meralco. Do you know Meralco? So Meralco is the utility there. Okay. And so I probably taught about 12 or 15 classes for Meralco.
Oh, wow.
And then I had an apartment in a place called Mandaluyong. And they follow the National Electrical Code, except they call it the Philippine Electrical Code. So,
wow.
So I already know all about it because I teach National Electrical Code classes.
Oh, very cool. That's super interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've spent some time across a couple different islands, of course, Cebu, but Davao, Cagayan de Oro. It's been really fun.
Yeah, I just know more about that jeepney-infested place, Metro Manila. So.
Yeah, the traffic's rough there for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, Thanks so much, John. And what's you got a website?
Yes, you can go to sayaimpact.com.
SAYAimpact.com.
Yes, yeah, and you can check us out.
Check it out.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, now we have Kenny Warren, right? Did I say her name?
Yes,
so
sir.
Kenny Warren works for Sunrun, and what do you do for Sunrun?
So I'm in residential solar sales. What I do mostly is I just help people find out how much they can save on their electricity bills and get them, out of the thumb from PG&E.
Awesome. All right, yeah, I've done some work for Sunrun. It was great. I loved it. So what areas do you work in, or where can people buy solar from you from?
So from me, I work mostly near Oakland and San Leandro, depending on kind of what area I'm in. I've also done some work in Berkeley. And then every so often I'm out there in Dublin, Danville, Alamo, that kind of area, a little bit further out that way, in Castro Valley. So I'll be in those areas too.
So do you go to people's houses?
So I have in the past. I have done direct to home. I have gone to people's homes. But right now, sometimes we set up in stores as well to do the lead generation part, and then I work with them with homeowners specifically with their project management and stuff like that.
So, I'm not too sure, how it works. So, did they already have a lead, and then somebody gets on the website, and then you take it from there, or something like that? Or?
Actually, we do it ourselves. So, I engage with the person, and then I'll figure out if they actually would be a good fit.
You go to their house and knock on their door. Or something.
That's what I have done in the past.
Okay.
Yeah, I would identify homes that I would see as that would be actually be a good home. Right now, if we post up in stores, it's kind of the reverse. But in the same way, we still have to qualify and figure out if we can even work with the home, because some roof planes won't work, some homes just won't be good fits, some roof types won't even be good fits. We'll identify and figure out kind of based on their bill and based on what they have going, figure out if we can actually be of help to them, and then take them through that process to get them, surveyed and then eventually installed.
Yeah, it's great. Like when sometimes there's solar sales going on in the industry where they never see the house, and then they show up with a truckload of PV modules.
Yeah, I don't know how that would exactly work because imagine if you don't do it the right way, you figure out that someone's rafters are cracked or you can't install on that meter. Now everyone's got a situation on their hands. So I try to always emphasize to people, hey, we will have to survey your home first
So
before
you
we do
survey
anything.
the house, you do site surveys and stuff?
So we have a whole site survey team. Some are obviously a big company. We have a whole site survey team that's their specific job is just to find out if the home would actually qualify. I do always try to show up to those site surveys and stuff like that to kind of guide the site survey tech as well as the homeowner through that process. So I almost act as like a liaison, but overall, yeah, we just have to survey first. We have to make sure that we're doing our due diligence as a company.
Okay, so if there's anybody listening that wants to buy solar, can they buy it from you?
They can buy it from me, or they can buy it from anyone. I'm with Sunrun, man. We're a big company, so I might not be available in their area, but I'm always down to try to help as many people as possible, explain how it works, and if they're more scientifical, I'd love to dig in the weeds if they want to.
So if you need to get some solar, get it from Kenny Warren from Sunrun. Do you live around here?
Yeah, I live in the East Bay.
Cool, yeah, awesome. And how did you find out about the NorCal Solar event?
I found out about this event from the SF Climate Week posting. I saw that it was going to be an event here related to solar and celebrating kind of solar in the area for, it said 50 years. I'm like, oh, great. I've only been here for a year in the area, but I've contributed in some way. So I figured I might as well come and see what other people are doing and meet other people who have been in the space as well.
So do you promise to be here in 50 years for the 100th anniversary?
I can't promise I'll be alive in 50 years. So.
I think you're kind of young. How old are you?
I turn 30 next week.
Yeah, see, you'll be 80 years old. Or
I can't.
79. You're going to be around.
I can't guarantee that.
You seem like a healthy person.
Oh, I might be healthy now, but I can't guarantee another 50.
You're going to take up like smoking in a few years, maybe?
I mean, no, I don't now, but maybe I will. Maybe I will start being a pack-a-day smoker, take it back to the 60s and 70s. Who knows?
Yeah, okay. All right, thanks a lot, Kenny Warren.
Thank you.
All right. We've got one other really awesome person to talk to here, Sierra Fan. Hi, Sierra.
Hi.
Tell us what's your company that it's your company.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm one of the founders of ELU. We are a software company for solar and storage and distributed clean tech. We make it super easy for crews to know exactly what to do on the ground, follow the right processes, and have that all go to their mobile phone and also collect data from them so you know that they're doing the right thing on the ground.
So they don't have to print out these big PDFs and get all these paper cuts, which people probably die from paper cuts.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, what is it? Read the effing manual. RTFM, we make that all super simple. And then also make sure, when they're taking photos and recording things, that's going to the same place so they're not kind of downloading them, putting back into Drive, trying to figure out what those things are. So, so very much a fit to all this training, workforce development, and also just trying to grow this industry.
Do you know Greg Smith?
Yes, yeah.
He's the RTFM guy.
Yeah. I think I've seen those shirts, the ones that look like AC/DC. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so he works for different electronics companies like inverters and batteries and optimizers and DC to DC converters and rapid shutdown devices and all that kind of stuff. And he wrote a book on solar battery home and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And he's been on my podcast too. And he's very into telling people to read the effing manual.
Yeah, part of it is doing that, and part of it is making it easier to read, RTFM, because you don't want to be flipping through that on site. That's complicated. You're on a roof somewhere, right? So kind of meeting in the middle. Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. Maybe somebody that doesn't know too much can just get on their phone, get on an app, and it goes screw this bolt and then do this next.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, you're working with a new inverter or someone has come up with a new model or there's new code requirements that you don't know to qualify for a VPP process. You shouldn't have to go and study that or remember that from a webinar you heard weeks ago. It should just be in front of your phone. And it's for people who are new to the industry, but also it's changing really quickly. There's now a lot of storage systems coming out. There's things that you just need to remember, and we make it really clear to have that at your fingertips.
Well, that's effing great. Thanks so much, Sierra Fan.
Thank you.
And the name of your company, once again, and where do people find it?
Yeah, it's ELU, and you can find it at www.elu.works. That's ILLU.
ILLU.works. Thanks. And it is time to leave the event. So thanks for listening to Sean White's Solar and Energy Storage Podcast. That was the NorCal Solar 50th Anniversary Party in Oakland, California on April 26th, which is Bill Brooks' birthday.